Hello. Hi, welcome back to our post-match show. India defeated Malaysia by 4-3 and they lift their fourth Asian Champions Trophy final. I'm having Mr. Sandeep Mishra. Sir, my first question is to you. What a comeback made by India. They defeated 4-3 Malaysia and they lift their fourth Asian title. So, your thoughts on this, sir?
But what kind of thoughts do I give? I mean, at 1-3, you almost seem like, that like the game was probably over, But then, as you rightly said, the comeback and they probably just decided that, okay, fine, now let's play what we were supposed to play in the first quarter, in the third quarter, and the second quarter, which we didn't. I think they got back into form, they got back into the formation, and they played what you call textbook, They brought down the simplicity, they kept the ball more to themselves, and then they were on their way. Yes, Subhashish, I can hear you.
Yes, yes.
I just,
Sir,
I was just talking about the game and how they came back and all of that, and how they kept their form, how they kept their structure. They were missing the structure in the first and the second quarter. I think, honestly, if you really ask me, they were pretty rattled by the goals. You got to understand that the other team has also come to play a final, and even in previous finals, I mean, so many of them I've seen, Malaysia always comes with the goods. That's why in the shows that we did before, I said this is going to be a close scoreline. I did say it will be India 3-1, but it was actually Malaysia 3-1. And then they finally got their act together. I think the only mistake that probably Malaysia did was that they kind of fell back a little more than they should have. They gave that much of space, which India didn't get in the first two quarters. And once, honestly, you give India the space, then it's like it's game over. And these are the things that we actually were talking about. I think also you need to also understand that by the time the third and the fourth quarter started, I think India started rotating the ball, and once you actually start rotating the ball, then you have the game to yourself. Malaysia's one step back was actually three steps up for India. You see Sukhjit, you see Mandeep, you see Gurjan, you see the way Hardik moved in the third and the fourth quarter. For a moment in the third quarter, you had Armanpreet coming up as a centre forward. I think that was more out of a sense of, what should I say, a sense of frustration, a captain looking at a team going down, and then the move started. And then once the pressure was on, and once they started cramping, I think it was more like India needed that space, and India needed to get into the right space to be able to score those goals. Then the stroke happened. Harmanpreet did that, and that Akash deep goal. That probably fired up the team completely. Okay, okay, fine. We are right up there. And then the move started, and penalty corners. Of course, the PC went to Malaysia great. I think what Malaysia at that stage was looking was for a counter. They got a couple of counters, but the defense, which was so porous in the first two quarters, held their ground. I think there are a lot of learning, there are a lot of lessons that both the teams will probably take from here right up till the Asian Games. Malaysia is going to go back today feeling terrible that they had a 3-1 lead and yet they didn't do anything with it. India is going to feel terrible that they were down 1-3 and they are going to figure out those two quarters as to what really went wrong. Because these are the mistakes that when you put on an Asian Champions Trophy, you can still get away with it. But honestly, in an Asian Games, when the pressure is on for the gold medal and Olympic place, the pressure is 10 times than what it was today. So I think these are the areas that probably you're going to be seeing both the coaches look, improve, and try and do something with it. Yes, Subhashi.
Yeah. Sir, Akashdeep scored in a crucial time. Neither the match nor the tournament was good for Akashdeep Singh. So, how this goal was important for him and for the Indian team?
It was more important for the Indian team, honestly. I don't think it was important for him. Yes, as a player, of course, for the team, fantastic. But I think the coach is going to look at that spot. The coach is going to look at Akashdeep, not the way Akashdeep was playing, because Akashdeep honestly plays in this format. Akashdeep is a guy who almost looks like he's got skates on. You know, he's sliding all over the turf. He moves with not like Sukhjit. He won't move like Mandeep. It's almost like he's on an ice rink. You know, going from left to right. But today, like in the last match against Japan, he was there. You know, he was there, right there to pick it up. I think that is the spot that Craig is going to probably look at, and look at Dilpreet, look at Abhishek, look at Lalit Upadhyay, and then probably take a call on the spot of Akanti. But for now, well, his goal saved us. His goal, got us to where we should have been much before in the first two quarters. But I guess everybody goes home happy because this was one hell of a game. It was a great comeback. It was a brilliant comeback. A match that probably set the stadium on fire in so many ways. Just imagine if it was a 4-0, it was a 3-0, if it was a 3-1, 4-1 for Malaysia. This crowd that had come in so many numbers, after such a long time, you witnessing a India versus Malaysia or an India in the final in Chennai, they would have gone back hugely disappointed. I think so. Malaysia's disappointment kept aside, India did what they had come to do here, and that is to win the Asian Championship.
And sir, at one time we think that we could have lost the match, but India kept pushing, kept pressing, and we played brilliantly at the third quarter. So, and our captain scored, Gurjan scored, and how can you describe especially the third quarter of the match?
I think the third quarter was more of a build-up. If you actually see, we started rotating from the back. I think that is what probably the coach would have said. I'm just assuming that he would have said that keep the ball and keep the structure. Things will fall into place. Normally, honestly, in modern hockey, if you keep your structure and you keep your form, things do fall into place. It's another matter that when things fall into place, you may not be able to score. You may shoot wide. You may probably, the goalkeeper may come and do a brilliant save. And that is exactly what was happening. I think probably the sixth and the seventh penalty strokes, the penalty corners, they all went out. The What the Indian players were probably doing is probably trying to do a little too much in the third quarter. I think by the time their nerves were settled, the Malaysian nerves were completely shot. And as we said earlier, I do feel that the defensive formations of Malaysia were a little more tedious. I think they should not have fallen back so much. Let's take a look at it very differently. Malaysia leading 3-1. Okay, what do you lose at the end of the day when you go for counters and all? You're still going to get the attacks even if you don't put in that formation. So I think playing defensively was probably the wrong tactic for Malaysia today. A team that is not supposed to win the final, a team that is not the favorite, you need to go all out when you are 3-1 up against the champions, against the Olympic bronze medalists, against the host, against a team that is already being pushed and supported by such a huge crowd. I think that is the point that probably Malaysian coach Arul will probably be feeling. Why didn't I let them go much ahead? Falling back was not the tactic or not the right tactic. I think for Malaysia, I think they probably just threw the game away in the third and the fourth quarter.
And sir, India won the Asian Champions Trophy in 2011, 2016, 2018. We were the joint winners with Pakistan, and now 2023. So, which final did you find the more tough for India?
I think this every final has its own charm, and I think a lot of people will probably, this was the perfect final. Let's put it that way. This was the perfect final. A lot of people would have wished, okay, we should have seen, the shootout. Shootouts are dicey. They are 50-50, and you know that whether it's penalty strokes in a game or whether it's a shootout, they're always dicey because every team has a definite chance to win. A little ball going here and there, a goalkeeper's deflection going off. So I think, in a way, this was the perfect final for India. This was perfect because of the comeback. This was perfect because you had a team struggling in the first two quarters, not even able to put passes through, not even able to get the midfield moving. I think the comeback itself was huge, and I think that is what most of the fans are going to remember. Let's try and understand it from another angle. I mean, the sport is played for the fans and because of the fans. And I think if the fans go back home happy that they have seen a great game and they've seen India come back to win 4-3, I think that's probably, the cherry on the cake, as we would call it.
And sir, the match was a bit physical, I think, in the second quarter, in the first quarter. So Malaysian player got green card. So Vijit also got green card, I think, in the second quarter. So was that type of game you were expecting in the bit way of physical?
No, not at all. But what happens is that you're leading and then you want to stop India. How do you stop India? Or how do you stop a team that has a fast counter-attacking style? You need to go a little physical. I think where Jugraj hit the number 14 and forgetting the Malaysian forward's name, that came out of pure frustration because the guy sped past him. And for any defender, it's a little tricky when he sees another forward going past him. So what do they do? If you would have hacked him down, it would have been easily a penalty stroke out there because the forward was headed towards the Indian goal. I think that PC that was given there was more of frustration from Juvraj than anything else. But the rest of the stuff, where Malaysia came in with those green cards, I think it was just basically to try and stop them. What happens is if the ball is in the middle somewhere and you try and kill the ball, at least that move doesn't happen. You might get a green card, you might be down to 10, but you've had done a move that looks promising. But yes, that's what I was pointing out. The third and the fourth quarter, they didn't want to do all of that because they knew it would have led to penalty corners. But what they did wrong was to fall into the defensive trap, and that most teams come under pressure into. I'm a little surprised because Arul is a damn good coach. He understands the sport like most other coaches who have played it. So to see this Malaysian side playing so well in the first set and the second quarter, to be able to hold the format, to be able to hold the team, as in every position they were doing very well, and then to see them play defensively was like they were panicking and India was not panicking. In fact, India was panicking more than them. If they would have attacked India more, I think they would have found the gaps, honestly, and they could have scored one more. One more would have closed the game. I'm very, very sure that a 4-1 scoreline for Malaysia would probably have closed the game. But yeah, this is what happens in modern hockey. It doesn't stop till its end. You can keep scoring till the last second even. And even when the countdown was happening in the 40th, and there was a moment for Malaysia where they could have easily scooped the ball, but they wasted their time on it. They probably took 3 seconds extra, and somebody came from behind, and Harmanpreet came from behind and took the ball away. And I think that itself sums up the pressure on
And
Malaysia.
sir,
And
what are the take? Yeah. Yes, yes.
yeah, no, tell me. No, I didn't
And
get
sir,
the
what
question.
are takeaways can India take from this tournament?
I think the takeaways are that you are working well as a defensive unit, despite the 3-1 lead that Malaysia took today. Because two quarters don't decide the fate of your team. That's Let's be very clear on that. What they probably take away from here is that when once under pressure, what are they supposed to do? And I think that was a perfect example of what they did today. This is really going to help them in the Asian Games because when they go into that games, they would understand what happens when you're down, how to counter it, and which are the players who probably didn't succumb under that pressure. I think the coach has a very clear look at the players that he wants for the Asian Games. And this particular match, the final, down 1-3, has given a fair assessment of the Indian side that he needs to take to the Asian Games.
Yeah. And sir, one last question. Sir, I think Malaysia's goalkeeper Hafizuddin Othman was brilliant today. He made some brilliant saves. So, do you think this one play was standing in front of India's victory today?
Yeah, I think that's where the defenders probably failed him. Those shots that came in from Shubji, the shots that came in from others, and the goalkeeper was saving them. I think those were the moments where those were the moments where I think Malaysia figured out that it was their goalkeeper that was the last wall for them. The defense was really not doing their job in the fourth quarter. They were panicking so badly that India was moving in pretty smoothly. I think the way you said about the goalkeeper, I think a couple of goals probably would have gone in if he wasn't there right on time. The way he came out and took those shots, I think there was a Subjeet shot that was so hard and so tough that any goalkeeper would probably have leaked it in. But I think he stood by, and I think it was a great performance by him.
एंड थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर जॉइनिंग अस। आप लोग देखते रहिए नैना नाइट्स, हम लोग ऐसे ही आपको हर एक टूर्नामेंट की हर एक मैचेस की ऐसी अपडेट्स देते रहेंगे। थैंक यू सो मच एंड गुड नाइट।
Thank you.
थैंक यू सर।